What well are you drinking from? Where are you drawing your water? This is what we're going to be getting back into today. Just continue along this journey, this story of the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman. She's there in the middle of the day. Jesus steps into her world. He goes way out of his way to get there. But we're going to get to a couple of takeaways before the end of this conversation today. If you'll stick around to the end, that I believe is going to give us some practical applications and some tools to put into motion. Somebody put that in chat, put it into motion. Somebody say it's got to be more than head knowledge. It's got to get to the heart. And the way it gets to the heart is by putting it in motion. Good luck putting all that in the comment, but let's go for it. Let's give it a shot. Welcome back to Love Note. So grateful to be here with you and be a very small piece of what God's doing at the local church and body that you should be planted at, because he said to go to church. And that's why you should go to church. You should also want to go to church because if you love Jesus, you're going to love his people, even though they drive you crazy sometimes. But guess what? It's okay, because you drive people crazy too. And that's why it's called family. We get into it and we go through it, but we stick together and we stick it out. And whenever it really hits the fan, we are there for one another. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and get right back into this passage in John chapter 4, verse 14. Going to look at a couple takeaways. We established last conversation about the people around us and how important it is to evaluate the voices that we allow into our heart. What they say about Jesus is going to influence our heart and what we say about Jesus. Jesus gets confronted by the Lord himself and he says, but who do you say I am? And the Lord says that to you today, beloved, who do you say I am? Because what you say about Jesus and what you believe about Jesus is going to bleed into the pages of your life story. And it's going to affect the quality of life that you walk in, and very, very intentionally going to affect the path of destiny's journey on your life. And so we want to be very intentional about these voices and what this does and how this implicates to our own story and our life's journey. And then, so we're going to jump right here in John 4:14, because I'm going to ask the question today, what well are you drinking from? Or where are you getting your water from? What water are you sipping on? Because this water that we're talking about is the water of life. Jesus is the living water. And it's going to be very important where we're getting our water from. And it goes so much deeper than just the prayer closet. We're going to start there because it all starts in a prayer closet. Put that in the chat. It all starts in the prayer closet. But let's go ahead and read this again, chapter 4 of John's Gospel in the 14th verse. And Jesus is talking to this woman at the middle of the day. She's not accepted in the community. She's had 5 husbands. I doth perceive thou art a prophet. We've gone through this whole saga. And now she realizes, hey, I'm not just talking to a man. Come on. When we start realizing that we're not just talking to a man, we're talking to the God man. His name is Jesus. Hold still in his side, hold still in his hands and feet. He's got fire in his eyes because his eyes are on fire for you, the fire of love and romance. And she's like, okay, I realize I'm not just talking to some common man. Hey, listen, if we could just take this away from this experience that she's having, if we could stop treating Jesus as common. I want you to understand, she doesn't even know Jesus whenever this conversation starts, but whenever she brushes up the supernatural divinity of Jesus, she kind of tightens everything up real quick. And people kind of downplay her whenever she asks, well, my answers say to worship on Mount Gerizim, and in this, where are we supposed to do temple worship at? The people kind of write her off and like, oh, she's trying to trip them up. She's trying to trip them up. But no, really, if you think about it, what is the temple for? It's for dealing with sin. So I believe that she realized she was in the presence of the Messiah, and now she understood that there was some sin that needed to be dealt with, and she wanted to deal with her sin. And so she wanted to know where she needed to go to actually get that done in a way that's going to be effective and profitable. So right here, he asked her, he kind of tells her that day, and he's telling you and I today. He says, but whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. What he was saying to this woman is that the water that you're drinking from is tainted. It's been poisoned, and it's only bringing you back to drink more and more and more. But drinking more and more of this water is actually a detriment to your health and your eternal standing. So we don't want to drink from this water. What water was she drinking from? She was drinking from the community well. Okay, this is a picture of communion with the world, communion with the he said, she said, backbiting, slander, gossip, all the things, keeping up with the Joneses. I'm on the zombie scroll all day long because I got to make sure I've got the most trendy fashion, whatever it might be. This is water that we're drinking from. Eve kind of jumps in on this conversation back in Genesis chapter 3 where the snake comes up to her, Lucifer, and he's like, hey, wait a minute. Didn't he tell you that you could eat of any tree in this garden? And she's like, oh, yeah, for sure. Except for the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, she didn't say that because she didn't have that answer, but he did say that. But the thing is that the devil always leaves out the half-truth. He leaves out the last part of the statement, which is the except part, the except clause. And so if she would have been more intentional with the water that she was drinking on that day, then maybe we don't deal with the fallout of mankind. I'm not sure. We're here now, so not really any point of trying to pick apart the hairs there. But what I'm trying to share with you is this has been the challenge from the beginning. What water are we drinking from? What are we allowing ourselves to take in? What are you drawing your life from? Because he calls himself the living water. What he was saying is if you really want true life, you're going to have to take it in from me. And so that's where we're going to stop for today. We're talking about this living water. We're talking about what water that we're drinking from. In our next conversation, we're going to break down kind of at length, more practical step-by-step application. So and until then, y'all be blessed, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.